I'm Ted Keys in Pasadena, California. Welcome to my Tuesday conference call, a free high-powered meeting I hold live every Tuesday for top producing freight agents. Go to tedkeysonline.com for complete call information. Then join us weekly to see new, serious, struggling, and experienced sales professionals move more freight efficiently, effectively, effortlessly, and make more money financially. So watch my recorded call topic highlighted there on your screen right now. When you're finished, go to tedkeysonline.com and hear more podcasts. Read more blog posts, watch more videos, and while you're there, visit my Freight Sales Success Store for top-notch freight moving products to explode your business today. Enjoy watching and applying my Tuesday conference call.
Hello and welcome everybody again to my Tuesday conference call. As you know, it's a call I do every Tuesday to show you how to move more freight, move it more productively, efficiently, proactively, any type of efficiently or actively you want to discuss today. I've got a very special guest on the phone or on the call today, Lindsay Bauer from Buffalo, New York. Are you there, Lindsay?
I am. Hello, Ted.
Awesome, Lindsay. Hey, thanks again for joining us today.
Anytime.
Awesome. Hey, Lindsay, can you just give us all a quick rundown of your intro into freight and just how you started? I believe you currently move freight with your husband, Josh. Is that correct?
That is correct. I actually got into freight about 10 years ago.
10 years.
Right up 10 years ago. I started with a brokerage here in Buffalo. They were Canadian-based. That's how I got my feet wet in the business. I worked with them for about 5 years, at which point my husband and I had just gotten married, and we decided that we wanted to start our own agency. We had a couple of road bumps in the beginning. We started with yet another Canadian-based company that we worked with before LDI, and that didn't work out. Canadian freight is a little different than the U.S., so we were looking for someone closer to home. We found LDI, and we've been with LDI for almost 5 years now.
Okay, so basically, just to go over it again, you came into the industry 10 years ago, so you've been in the industry for 10 years.
Correct.
Okay, and you were, did you start off as an administrative, or were you actually moving freight from the get-go?
I started off as a sales rep. When I started, I had no experience in freight at all. I couldn't have even told you what LTL meant. I didn't know any of the lingo. They started us off learning each of the departments. We learned the rates department, the dispatch department. It was a larger brokerage, so they had everything departmentalized that way, whereas in the agency model, you're doing pretty much all of those jobs. It was great exposure at the time because, like I said, I was very green. I didn't have any experience, and they really taught me the ins and outs of each of the aspects of the business.
Okay, and again, that was 10 years ago.
Yes.
Did you say this was a broker out of Canada?
Yes, they had their home base was in Toronto. Area, and they also had an office here in Buffalo, New York.
Okay. So basically, were you commuting to this office in Buffalo?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And now it's a little different. Now you work from the comfort of your home. Is that correct?
That is correct. My husband and I work out of our home, and at this point in our business, it is just the two of us. We are looking at expanding and bringing in some dispatchers to support our sales.
Okay.
But haven't made that step yet.
Okay. Would you agree, Lindsay, that when one gets started in this profession, or would you say that when one gets started in this profession, do they see success right away?
Absolutely not.
I can
remember when I started in this business. I came home. I probably about 3-4 months in. I was like, I don't understand what I even do. This is so hard. No one wants to talk to me. I make calls all day long, and I can't get anyone on the phone. It's a waste of my time. And I'm so glad that I stuck it out, because you're so right. About 6 months is when you start to hit. You get some wins, and then you get a taste of how good it is to have those wins.
Or they're a little spattered initially.
Yes.
Spattered.
You get a few in the beginning, and nothing's consistent, and every little tiny service failure that you have is the end of the world, because you only have a few loads moving. So everything is the most important thing, which is not a bad thing. Every load you move should be very important to you, but you learn as you have more business that these things do happen, and your customers understand that. It's communication that is the key to making sure you get over those road bumps.
Did you and your husband Josh meet in this industry, or did you know each other before you got into it?
No, we met in college.
Oh, you did? Okay. So you both got into it at the same time with the same agent?
Actually, no. I got into it with Cornerstone when I started. My husband was working in computer sales.
Okay.
And as we all know, there's good money to be made in freight, and he wasn't real happy doing computers. I said, if you can sell freight. It's all about, if you have the personality to sell and to push through the objections, you can sell anything. Freight is a great thing to sell. It's fun, it's different every time, and it's always evolving. There's always going to be freight moving. And he said, you know what, I will try it, and it has been a fabulous decision for us.
Right, and obviously, I mean, he got into it. I would assume that you were in the industry for several years already.
Yes.
When Josh decided to join you.
Yes.
Okay.
And
awesome.
When we first, made the leap to move into freight together, we were working with another company, so he had some exposure to other people other than just my way of doing things.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, Lindsay.
Great.
When you first started, did you just call anybody on a list, or was there a particular industry that you felt comfortable with, that you gravitated to? How did you get your start?
We work a lot with freight forwarders.
You were what?
We have a lot of success with freight forwarders.
You were having success with
do.
freight forwarders?
We do. A great part of our business is with freight forwarders.
Okay. Could you describe what that means?
Absolutely. Freight forwarders, for those of you who don't know, they focus on the international portion of freight. They're the ones that are scheduling the ocean freight, the air freight. They do move a ton of domestic freight and freight in and out of Canada, which they consider domestic as well. The fit there for us is that they don't have a lot of staffing for their domestic department. They really staff their import-export department. So once their freight hits the U.S., they don't really know what to do with it, and they use brokers for it.
Interesting.
And it's a great fit for us.
So basically, these are agents, international agents, that their specialty is getting the freight from, let's say, point A, China, to point B. Where would that be in your location? Or does it even matter?
It doesn't matter. We service every port in the U.S. and Canada.
Okay. Okay, I'm in Pasadena, California. So you pick up freight in what areas in my neck of the woods?
Well, most of what we're doing right now is import freight. It comes into the port of Los Angeles.
Okay.
We schedule for a carrier to pick up the containers from the port, take it to their warehouse, unload the containers, put them in trucks, and then move them to the inland location. Okay. We're looking for locations that are about 500 miles from the port. Anything that's greater than 500 miles from the port is a good fit for us.
Okay. Okay. So are you working with a lot of drayage companies? Yeah,
we work with a ton of drayage companies, and I'm sure that people have heard over the past couple of months and whatnot about the negotiation issues with the ports. They had the risk of going on strike a couple of months ago, which caused huge delays with the container freight coming in. they had containers or ships that were sitting out in the water for months. So basically, by the time those containers hit the U.S., they were weeks behind. So whereas most companies will pull those containers off the ship and put them on the rail to move them to cities like Dallas or Oklahoma City or Kansas City, the inland places, that takes another week once it gets into the U.S.
Right.
They were hot for that freight, and they still are. Things are still very delayed. So what we do is we take it out of the containers, put it in trucks, and we can have it delivered in 2 days versus 7 days. So they're gaining 5 days right there.
So, Lindsay, does this freight, for a lot of these loads, does the freight have to physically be taken out of the containers? I'm assuming most of the stuff is on pallets and whatnot, but it has to be physically taken out of the containers and loaded directly onto trucks that you provide.
Correct.
Okay.
We handle everything from port to door. They hand us a delivery order, and we handle it to delivery to their customer. If it's not palletized, we have it palletized at the warehouse, because a lot of the freight coming in from, say China is not palletized. Mm-hmm. It comes in cartons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, this is yours and Josh's specialty.
Correct.
How much of your business would you say is from these types of customers?
85%.
And let's face it, Lindsay, when we get our business off the ground in this business or in this industry, we find, or let's put it this way, the advice is to find a niche. Would you agree?
Correct. Absolutely.
Now, how did you find this niche? Was it because of the broker that you worked for initially?
Yes. It was a service that we provided at the broker that I worked for initially. But I will say, when Josh and I first started this business, finding this type of business is hard. But once you find it, it's correct. It's challenging.
Okay.
But once you do find it, it's the type of business that is regular. And we all know that's what we're all looking for, is the regular business, the stuff you can count on, the stuff that you get a heads up on. That's when your luck gets pretty good.
Would you say, Lindsay, that the niche that you're in is really no different than any other niche? You've got to find a way in there, and you've got to be persistent. You got to be determined, just like any other area of this industry.
Yes. Find a spot that you are comfortable. Find something that you're good at and perfect it. Make yourself better than anyone else at it, because then you are a resource. You're not just a provider. You want to bring value to your customers. You want them to know that you know more about this particular aspect of the business than anyone else.
You are the specialist in this niche.
Yes.
Because let's face it, the more freight you move in the niche that you're in, your word is going to get out. The word of the Lindsay and Josh brand is going to make its way known throughout that niche. Well, or slowly make its way. Would you agree?
That's absolutely correct. And not only that, but as you focus on what you're doing, as you pick a small portion of the business and focus on it, you do get better at it. You learn the ins and outs through your own mistakes. We absolutely have made mistakes, and that is how you learn, and that is how you grow, and that's how you know the right questions to ask the next time. It is a learning curve that never ends.
Yeah. So really, the industry or the niche that you're in, it's really no secret, Lindsay.
Oh, no.
It's no secret. You just have to get in there. You got to step your foot in to that niche and start working it just like you would any other niche.
Yes.
I mean, would you say that getting into your niche is easier than, say, getting into, the reefer niche?
No. I think that they would be equally, I wouldn't even say difficult. It's just a matter of focusing and finding the right contact on the carrier and the customer side.
So in reality, they all have their pluses and minuses.
Absolutely.
You just got to make the decision.
Before we found this niche, we were doing flatbeds from Texas to the oil fields in Western Canada. That was our niche for 2 years when we first started here.
Okay. Texas to Western Canada.
Yeah.
Did you say oil field equipment?
Correct.
Okay. Was this equipment that was being imported in, or just general equipment out of Texas?
It was just general equipment that they were manufacturing in Texas and moving into Western Canada.
Okay. Okay. Obviously, Western Canada is an area where a lot of oil production takes place.
Correct.
Okay. Makes sense. What other type of advice could you offer to a beginner or somebody that's just contemplating coming into this profession?
You need to have tough skin.
Need to have what?
Tough skin. Don't let it get a lot.
Tough
There
skin.
are a lot
Tough
of
skin.
tough skin.
Got it.
Yes, you're right. This business is not for sissies. I would say that keep at it. Keep making calls. You'll find the group of customers that will be your base and grow from there. That's what we've done.
That's definitely a starting point. Do you see your business expanding?
Yes.
In the same niche that you're in?
In the same niche. And what happens is, like you said, through word of mouth. You know, someone will ask someone, who do you go to for that? You know, especially in the type of industry that we're in, and I would imagine that you will find that, or niche that we're in, you'll find it in any niche, your customers know other customers. They talk to each other. Who do you use? Who do you rely on? And those are the best referrals you can get. And ask for them. Ask for referrals. When you find a customer who's happy with your service, ask them if they know of anybody else or anyone else in their department or any other locations. You have to ask for the business.
When those conversations take place, Lindsay, you want your name being mentioned.
Yes. You want to be the first person that comes to their mind.
Correct. Correct. So with me, when people are out there talking about freight agent training, my goal is to have Ted Keys being mentioned. As I got on the call today, I heard a gentleman say, "Yeah, I've been listening to Ted Keys." Boy, that is music to my ears. I don't even have to force it out of him. But yes, it's called buzz. You want your name or your office to be part of the buzz out in the marketplace. Do you get a lot of referrals, Lindsay?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, you do.
Okay. One a week, one a month?
I would say on a good month we probably get 2. On a bad month we'll probably get 1 or 2 a month.
Okay. But I would venture to say that because you've been in it so long, Lindsay, when somebody contacts you and says, tell me if I'm wrong, hey, I was referred to you by such and such, they're calling you to look for service right away.
Correct.
Are they calling just to gab? Say, hey, Lindsay,
no.
Josh, how's
They're
it going?
calling because they have something that they want you to move for them. They're at that point in the game, most of the time, they are ready to use you. They don't need you to sell them. They just want you to help them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, tell us a little bit about these profit margins that you're earning, Lindsay. Is that just because of your time in the industry? You've got a good grasp on lane rates, because on LDI's leaderboard every month, you and Josh are typically in that category of high profit margins.
Well, I would say that the reason why
is that just the niche that you're in, that niche lends itself to high profit margins, or are you just lucky? Do you get those by luck?
I would say that
Lindsay?
our niche allows us to win the high profit margins.
Okay.
We're providing an expedited service. We're for products that the customers are going to pay a lot more should the service fail. So there's a lot of pressure to make sure that these run smoothly. So we work very hard on the shipments. They know that we're working very hard, and they know that they're paying a premium price for that service.
So along with high profit margins, Lindsay, comes higher responsibility.
Correct.
You don't just put the loads in and then just, they get delivered by themselves.
Absolutely not. These are things that we're tracking from the time they leave China or Shanghai or wherever they're coming from. We're tracking these every day to make sure that we're ready once it gets here to move it as fast as possible.
Wow. So when that ship comes into the port and is getting unloaded, you have trucks waiting.
Correct.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Anything else that you like to add, Lindsay? Again, this is such valuable information that a professional like yourself is offering. Anything else that you like to add, or in a general sense, before we go to a little Q&A?
I would just say work smart. Find what you're good at, be good at it, and enjoy it. Don't waste your time beating your head against the wall for customers that are never going to give you freight. Find the ones that are and enjoy it, because there are so many out there, and you will find them. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of cheap payers out there, out there in our industry, aren't there?
There are way too many, and you don't want to play that game. Do not sell on price.
And they are in your niche as well. They are in your niche as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. They're in every niche. They're everywhere. But you want to sell on value, because when you're selling on value and you're selling on service, even when there's issues, your customer knows they can depend on you. They're not just looking at you because you're the cheapest guy, because there's always going to be somebody cheaper.
How much value do you have to offer, though, when you've only been in the profession for a week?
You can offer.
Think about when you just started after a week.
I think that if you are honest and upfront with your customers and let them know. I remember when I first started this, I was very, very honest. You know what? If I didn't know something, if they asked me something that I didn't know, I would tell them, honestly, I've been doing this for only a week. Let me find out the answer to that, and I will get back to you, instead of trying to come up with something. Yeah, you don't want that. They don't want to hear that. That's when they're like, okay, well, I have to know now. You want them to know that you're going to find out.
80% of the agents that are out there.
Right.
And you say it with authority. Even though you don't know the answer, you still say it with authority. Hey, Joe,
exactly.
I don't know the answer to that question. Let me get back to you in 5 minutes.
And then get back to them in 4 minutes. Get back to them as soon as you possibly can, but let them know that they can count on you to find out the correct answers and to find them a solution that will work for them.
Awesome. Awesome answer. Lindsay, are you open to a little Q&A?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Any questions? Questions or comments? Mainly questions for Lindsay Bauer. Please hit *6. Again, folks, try to keep your noise in the background to a minimum, if not at all. The most discouraging thing is when you hit *6 and we hear all this noise in the background. If that happens, I'm just going to mute you out right away. So who's got the first question for Lindsay? Hit *6. Hit *6. While we're waiting for that first question, Lindsay, very, very impressive. I was not aware that you and Josh were in this industry that long. Believe it or not, you've been in it, about twice as long as I have.
Really?
But
well, Ted, if there's anything you need, you can always come to us.
I venture to say I've got a little more entrepreneurial experience under my belt.
Well, I can guarantee that we will come to you for that. You've definitely got a seat in that front.
Who's got the first question for Lindsay?
This is Dana from Jersey.
Lindsay, this is Dana from New Jersey.
Hi,
Lindsay. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You said that when you first started off, you had basically a lot of experience. With a person that doesn't have that much experience and they just basically trying to find their way through, what advice do you have with a person that's just basically getting started? I have some experience, but under Ted's leadership now, I'm like coming into a different category of experience, so to speak. So a lot of things is, I guess I could say, challenging. So although I'm meeting the challenge, I still I hit them rocky roads and them bumps constantly, and I hear that you said, okay, find your niche. So what is your niche? Like, how do you know what to find? Is this something that just hits you, or, like, I don't know. I'm just confused when I hear people say that, find your niche.
Well, what kind of freight do you move? What's the most common type of opportunity that you run across right now? And what kinds of companies are you calling on?
Well, basically, I'm doing lumber, roofing, asphalt, and produce.
Okay.
Lumber, roofing, asphalt, and produce. Lindsay.
Yes.
Okay. So, which out of those three general commodities are you having the most success with?
Well, I'm still working on my first load, but I do have prospects and people that sends me email every day. So my biggest challenge is finding the carrier to carry it for the rate. So that's my struggle.
Are you posting the loads?
Yes, I'm posting them every day. As they come in, I'm posting them.
Let me chime in here. Let me chime in here, Lindsay,
Okay.
Dana. Should Dana just stop at produce, asphalt, and lumber? Should he just focus on those, Lindsay?
I don't think so. I think at this point in the game, Dana, I would broaden your horizon. Make your net a little bigger in the beginning so that you can find what works for you. I know produce is really tough. That's a tough industry to try and get in. I wouldn't, in my experience, I wouldn't recommend that being something to start with. I would look at the companies that are moving heavy machinery.
Oh, okay.
I would look at companies. I think that the construction industry is a good one to start with. And I would try to get as many contacts as you can. Get email addresses. You know, it's hard to get people on the phone, but if you can get them on the phone long enough to ask them, if you can send them your contact information, you just got your foot in the door.
Okay.
That way you can follow up to a multitude of people at once without, quote unquote, bothering them. Everything's done in email these days.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, Lindsay.
You're welcome. I hope that helps.
Lindsay, do you ever stop contacting the marketplace?
No.
Would you agree that as a beginner, unfortunately, even though I stress do not do this, but as a beginner, a lot of beginners, hey, I'm getting loads to post. Let me just post these and not continue making contact with the marketplace. Is that the way to go?
That is not the way to go.
You're doomed to failure.
Correct.
Would you say that that's what most new agents do?
Hope.
Would you say that that's what most new agents do?
Yeah.
Hey,
I would
I've
say
got
most
some
agents
loads
in
to
general.
post here. I've got
Not
some
even
freight
just
lists
new
here.
agents.
Let me just hang out here and just attempt to cover these
Hope
loads, and
something
that's
happens.
all I'm going to do.
That's not going to work. You want to find loads that you have a shot at getting and work them. Yes, you're going to post them, but you're also going to look and see what trucks are posted and call those postings. You call them, and you have the upper hand.
But don't ever, 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 ever stop building your contact list. Would you agree?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Who's got the next question for Lindsay? Next question for Lindsay, hit *6. Who's got the next question for Lindsay? Hit *6. Yes, Lindsay, unfortunately, that is one of the biggest challenge in training new agents, and that is, okay, we've gotten this far. Hey, I've gotten my LDI freight system. I've got my short list of contacts here. Let me just, because I've heard so many objections now, I'm just going to hang with these with my short list here and think I'm going to cover the loads that I have with these lists here. Is that the way to think?
No, absolutely not. You're not. You may get a few loads that way, but you're not going to build a business that way.
Absolutely. Okay, who's got the next question for Lindsay? I hear some background noise there.
This is Kenneth in Dallas. And
Kenneth from Dallas, Lindsay.
I am just starting to build my list, and I am starting to get through to people. but a lot of the comments that I am getting from people is that we're slow right now, we're not looking for anybody until next year, and stuff like that. So as far as that goes, how would you recommend a follow-up for that type of future distance in getting any loads?
I would, first off, when they say that, ask them when they do their carrier evaluations, and do they add extra carriers? You know, when is their busy season? When do they move a lot of freight? And make a note of that. Set yourself a reminder, and about 2 months before that time, call them again. You know, if they say now that they're not busy and that they're not busy until, I don't know, January, set a reminder for 3 months. Most of the time they're not going to lie to you and tell you that they're not busy, you know, for the next 6 months when they really are, because they want to have those resources in their back pocket. Always ask for an email so you can send them your contact information. I know for myself, when carriers send me information in email, I'll put it in a folder, you know, just in case I might ever need that type of carrier. That's the same thing that they're going to do with your information. Even if they don't need you now, they'll keep you there in case.
Yeah, they're allowing me to send the LDI brochure to them. No problem. But they're just saying that they are slow and they won't have anything until next year. So they're allowing me to get my foot in and send them the information, but there's just like nothing available for a while out.
I wouldn't let too much time go by, but maybe, I want to say 2, maybe 3 months. Just call again. Say, you know, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Ken.
Well, Ken. You know, this is Ken. Just wanted to check in, see how things are going, remind you that we're here for you. If anything changes, let me know. Otherwise, I'll touch base with you when your freight picks up. I look forward to working with you. You know, just let them know that you're still going to be there.
Excellent. Thank you for the information.
Great question, Ken. Ken, as you know, when I went through your training with you, I gave you a list of objections that you're going to hear.
Ted, how would you handle that objection? I'm curious.
Well, that's what I was explaining to Ken. Ken, are you still there?
Yes. Well, when they give
Remember
me that
on your list of 10 objections, Ken, that you're going to receive?
When they give me that objection, I simply ask them if they would mind if I went ahead and sent them a brochure so that they could look at it at their convenience to give them information about the company. And at that point in time, they say, yeah, sure, no problem.
Right. And then you put them on your contact list, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah, once you do that, Ken, then it's just a matter of follow-up. Because, again, a lot of people are going to give you different objections, but you know what the answer is when you get that objection, right?
Oh, yes. I always ask if they mind if I go ahead and send them something.
And Lindsay just hit it on the head. Do you keep your options open to adding additional carriers when it does pick up again? Okay. But follow-up is a never-ending process. Would you agree, Lindsay?
Absolutely.
It's a never-ending process. So that's why you're going to send them at least an email once a week once you get that contact information, Ken. Okay. And then as you get better and better at this, then you're going to find your groove on what works. Some people do better at emailing. Some people do better at actually picking up the phone and calling. I will say this, though, a phone call always beats an email.
Okay.
I agree.
Go ahead,
being
Ken.
said, here's a follow-up to that. Okay, so like these guys are saying, okay, we're not going to have anything for 90 days to a year before we start, putting on new deals. So would you still go ahead and send them a weekly email?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
At the minimum. That's why I send every agent a weekly email to send out every Monday minimum. Okay? Ken?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other question for Lindsay while you're still there?
Nothing else for me.
Awesome, Ken. Great question. Who's got the next question for Lindsay? Hit *6. Yeah, the biggest challenge, Lindsay, is to, let me know if you agree or not, is to continue to get your agents to keep making contact with the marketplace. Keep making contact with the marketplace. Don't ever, ever, ever stop.
That's definitely a huge challenge. Challenge for everyone.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is. Who's got the next question
your
for
contact
Lindsay?
list
Go ahead,
your
Lindsay.
contact list is going to continue to grow. So your contact and your follow-up continues to grow. So it becomes an even bigger job. Keeping on top of it and keeping organized is a challenge, and it's very important that you do that because it pays off.
Not only to grow your contact list weekly, but also manage it. Keep it organized. After a while, I say this. There's potential with everybody that's on your list. But at some point you have to realize, boy, is this worth my effort anymore? Because, some people will ship with you. It may take them a year or two. Did you ever witness any of those, Lindsay?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, last
Absolutely.
time I contacted you a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever come across any of those?
It actually happened to us a couple of weeks ago. I got a random request from a customer that I hadn't contacted in probably a year, finally looking for something, looking for help.
Finally looking for somebody. Was it a customer in your niche?
It wasn't, but I'll still take it.
Yeah, exactly. But you contacted them a year ago, and that happens. But at some point, you have to realize, what do I do here? Do I continue to build my list, or do I just keep throwing my head against the wall with some of these that won't do anything right now? They will eventually, but that's what you have to decide. But I'll say it again. Never, ever, ever stop growing your list. Who's got the next question for Lindsay? Hit *6. You've got a talented freight agent here, freight expert here, guys. I'm surprised I'm not. There's not a line waiting to ask you questions, Lindsay. Is anybody next? Who's next? Hit *6. Anything else?
This is Quintona here for
Greensboro. Quintona? I've been waiting for you, Quintona. This is Quintona from North Carolina, Lindsay.
Hi.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm fairly new here, so I just last week come out of turning in my 20 prospects. So I think the question that I had has basically been answered for me because I wanted to know if what I was experiencing was quite like the normal routine, because basically I have just been building my contact list and sending emails and also calling individuals and following what Ted's instructions are there in the training manual. But I haven't, no one has really contacted me. I've had 2 people to contact me, and that's basically been it. And one individual happened to be a customer to another agent.
That's so frustrating. I'm sorry that had to be your first.
So Lindsay, Quintona has just started, and she's wondering, is she the only one that's going through this process? Is everybody else, are they just naturally successful at this profession? And is she the only one that's going through this process of struggle and challenge?
No. It is a struggle in the beginning. Keep at it. I would recommend that you add more contacts. The more contacts you have, the better chance you have.
Daily.
Absolutely. Every day. We used to do sales, we used to call them call contacts. We would sit on the phone for an hour and see who could reach the most contacts between the 3 sales reps that were in my office at Cornerstone. Set goals for yourself. See how many people you can actually get on the phone in an hour. Set 1 hour aside and get as many contacts as you can, because the more contacts you have in your list, the more people you can reach, the more chances you'll get. And
the higher the probability of success.
Absolutely.
But you have to do it in a proficient way. You have to sound professional. Would you agree?
Yes.
You have to have your feet on the ground. Don't be wobbling or umming and awing or welling all over the place. Anything else you could add, Lindsay?
I kind of think that you all are absolutely...
You kind of think, Quintona?
Well, I do think, I should say I know that you all are correct when it comes to that because, to be honest with you, I've had a lot of success actually getting through to the actual shipping manager or the person that I need to speak with.
Boy, that's half your challenge, Quintona.
A brochure through and to send an email. So I'm actually getting past, so I know that I am doing that correct.
So you're saying that half the people you're making contact with, you're getting through to the shipping decision maker?
Yes, I am. I'm getting through. I'm getting direct telephone numbers, or sometimes they tell me that I have to dial the main number and dial an extension, but I'm actually getting through and able to speak with the shipping decision maker.
Yeah.
It's just that when I send out the emails, I'm not hearing anything back.
Well, here's a great analogy. All right, Lindsay, you've been married for how long?
5 years.
5 years, okay. Now, when Josh first asked you out on a date, did you get married right away?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Well, that's what new agents are expecting. They're expecting when they make that first phone call to get that load right away.
Well, that would be an interesting reality.
Did you get married on your second date?
No.
You didn't? How about your third date?
Almost, but not quite, no.
Oh. So did Josh have to develop and build a relationship with you?
Yes.
Is moving freight any different?
No.
Do you understand my
all
analogy?
About building. It is. That's a great analogy because it is. It's all about building the relationship with the shipper.
Quintona, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense. So just keep doing what I'm doing and following Ted's instructions, like with the one part about making the contacts, at least get 3 new contacts a day. I've even went as far as trying to make sure that I get 5 or more.
That's the minimum. Make it 10. Again, that's the minimum. But do you understand the analogy, Quintona?
Yes, I do. I just want to make sure that what I'm doing is correct.
If you're getting married on the first contact, that's an oddball. But typically we have to build relationships with our contact list first.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Quintona. Who's got the next question for Lindsay? Great analogy, huh, Lindsay?
Hi, this is Raven.
Raven. Welcome, Raven. Raven.
Hi. I had a question. I usually kind of be on the low, like the blogs and the forums and just kind of looking around. And I was wondering, like, when you first started, did you have, like, a script that you use when you call, like, prospects and customers?
I didn't have a specific script, but I always wrote down notes. I had a form of the questions that I wanted to know the answers to so that if I lost my train of thought while I had a customer on the phone, I could always look down and see what I wanted to know so you don't get flustered. Gives you kind of an outline. Although I wouldn't discourage a script. A loose script may give you the structure you need to feel confident when you're on the phone. Do you think it would help you?
Yes, probably, because I work from home now, and I follow a script pretty much, so it's like I can do it naturally, like I'm not using it, but I know after a while I won't need it just to kind of get, what I'm supposed to say to the customers.
Raven, go ahead, Lindsay.
I was just going to say, as you get more comfortable and you learn what you're looking for and what you want to know from them, what questions to ask, it will come naturally. It will become more of a conversation than a sales call when you talk to these people. But in the beginning, it is tough. Write yourself a script. Use it. I think that would be great.
Actually, Raven, when you become a freight agent of ours, that is one of many free tools that I provide.
Awesome.
to assist you in making contact with shipping decision makers. But yes, as Lindsay said, you don't ever follow a script word for word. But what I provide is the important questions to ask when you get through to a shipping decision maker. That's what I provide. And then once you do that, you make it about them. You don't make it about us, because it's never about us. It's always about them and their challenges that they're facing at the time. Because would you agree, Lindsay, that is why people utilize our service or finally utilize our service? Because for the first time, they're in a bind. They've got something going on. That's why they're giving us the opportunity. Would you agree, Lindsay?
They're never going to call, absolutely. They're never going to call you for that easy load that they can cover, with their regular carrier every day. They're going to give you the stuff that is a little tougher in the beginning.
And I have another question.
To prove yourself.
That's how we typically get into a new customer, because we've solved a dilemma they're having. They have a problem, and we're coming up with a solution for their problem or challenge. 90% of the time, that's why we get into a new customer.
Have you ever went to one of the, like, let's just say I have a lot of places where it's like I know the shippers are there and the managers and things like that. Have you ever been to any of the places personally and, like, spoke with the actual shipping managers?
Yeah. Absolutely. When I first started in this business, I did a lot of cold calling. I just you just go in and you ask to speak to someone.
You're talking about actually going into the company?
In person?
Yes.
Yeah. It can work. It won't work for all companies. Depends on the size of the company and their corporate culture. But putting a face with a name can't hurt you.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that would kind of be good. Kind of like for the area that I'm in. It seems like it's a lot of places where you could probably actually go to.
Well, you can, Raven, but there's always a downside to that type of prospecting. Do you know what that is?
No.
How then will you provide the service? You've pretty much got to provide the service when you're in your office or around a computer. You've got to be on the phone answering calls that for carriers that are calling on your loads. So
not like on an everyday basis, but just if you know, like a couple places, kind of stop in.
Well, it's up to you. It's up to you. But the way how I train is I train you to do this from the comfort of your office.
All right.
Provide all the materials, all the stuff that's required to be successful from your office.
Awesome. That would be great too.
Great question. Great questions, Raven. Lindsay, do we have time for one more question?
Sure.
Who's got the last question for Lindsay? Last question for Lindsay. Hit *6.
Hi, this is Aaliyah.
Aaliyah from Florida, Lindsay.
How you doing, Lindsay?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Fine. Thanks for asking. So I've been in contact with a lot of produce, which is really tough. It's really, really a tough industry. But how did you end up coming across freight forwarding shippers is the real question.
How'd you first come across your niche, Lindsay?
Honestly, I don't remember how exactly I ended up with freight forwarders. But once I started working with them, I would research the big freight forwarders on the internet and then call each one of the offices. That's how I started getting in with them. A lot of the companies have a location list, an office list with phone numbers and contact names, and I start from the top and work my way down.
Okay.
What prompted you, though? Did somebody put you in touch with a freight forwarder for the first time, Lindsay?
Cornerstone had a few freight forwarders in their book of business and recommended
you came in contact with them with the first agency that you were moving freight for?
Yes.
Okay, so it was basically by association.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and that's really how we come in contact with a lot of the shipping decision makers or the industries. It's by association. You may have picked up a load here, dropped it off there. You contacted that contact, and voila, you're in a new industry.
Exactly.
There's so many different ways to take advantage of opportunities in this profession. Lindsay, would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. There's never an endless stream of opportunities to be taken advantage of, is there? I mean, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Great question, Aaliyah. Hey, Lindsay, really appreciate the time for joining us today. We hope you learned just as much as we learned from you. Just a few quick announcements here, folks. As you know, if you have any questions involving our freight agent program, I'm the man to speak to, 626-309-9141. This recording will be available on my website, tedkeysonline.com. If you want to hear it again, go to the podcast section. If you have any questions involving our LDI freight system, top of the line, would you agree, Lindsay, that our freight system is top of the line and top in the industry?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Any questions involving that? Maria's a person to speak to at the office here. My wife, Maria, 626-309-9141. And for those that have an interest or your desires to join our top-notch freight team, again, I'm the person to speak to, 626-309-9141. Lindsay, thank you again for joining us today. I will definitely see you down the road. As for everyone else, including yourself, Lindsay, take care. God bless you all. It's been a pleasure, Lindsay. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
You've just taken a tremendous step forward by watching and applying my Tuesday conference call highlight. Do you desire to earn and learn with our top freight team and Christian-based office? Yes? We're searching for a self-starter who's serious, motivated, and ready to take action right now. Is that you? Go to tedkeysonline.com/contacts and enter your contact details. We provide top-notch freight agent sales training to you. Then you deliver those same skills with confidence to the freight industry marketplace. I'll talk to you soon.